people joining us?
Yeah, I'll let you know in 1 second.
Hello, Liz, are you there? Maybe she slept in.
Who are you looking for?
Eloise.
Oh, she signed up, so I don't know if she's here yet or not.
Hopefully Dawn Henderson joins
Joins
us.
Oh, good.
It's her birthday.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's almost 34.
I think 33.
33.
Yeah.
So, how's everybody doing?
Everyone's good. So there's only a couple of us on the Zoom, but people are
Still a few minutes before you
joining. Yeah.
Oh, what time is it?
That's true.
Yeah, it's actually 10:07, so.
Wait to see who shows up.
Denise Grace just joined us via live stream.
Excellent.
Hold on. I'm going to turn on the light here. So.
This is your life.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, I have to worry about lighting more than others. I need to be visible, Father Kevin.
Do you remember last summer you, me, and Antonio went out to eat, and
And then you Snapchatted someone, and okay, so quick story here. So Father Kevin and I and one other person, we went out to eat, and we were in the car, and we were trying to Snapchat someone, and showing the three of us singing along to a song on the radio. And then, so Father Kevin sends that Snapchat, and then the other person replies, "Oh, the two of you look so great." And
and I said, Dennis is in the back seat.
And yeah, so I was not visible in the dark lighting conditions, which is a problem I tend to have. I don't know why.
I have a question. When and where do we see the unbelievable?
That's a good question.
Okay, Dennis.
So,
go for it.
So I've posted it on. I've shared the link on my Facebook page.
Okay.
I'll use the St. John St. Thomas account to share that.
Okay.
Right now.
Tracy Donahue and John Armstrong from North Carolina also just joined us on the live stream.
Good morning, Tracy
Welcome.
and John. Welcome. Great to have you with us.
Phyllis Murphy.
I want to explain unbelievable to the people who are coming on.
Oh, we'll get a few more people.
Okay.
And then
Sure.
Is Kathleen here?
Not yet.
Janet.
I don't know.
Maybe people forgot to register. I don't know.
There was probably a little less than 10 registrations. Jeannie Pittman's just joining us on the Zoom. Anne Marie Stanley and Karen Christopher Lavorati. I hope I pronounced that right. So several people joining on live stream.
Okay, great.
Yes. Is Linda Fermi there?
It's so unless someone comments, I can't see who's actually watching.
Okay.
But she was at Mass this morning. I know that.
Yeah. So was Joe, even though he wasn't on camera.
All right. Who's there? He's the man behind the camera.
Oh, okay. Anne Marie asked how everyone's doing.
Oh, we're doing well.
Great.
We're doing well.
And Pauline Bautista just said good morning.
Morning, Pauline. It's such a nice day. People may be outdoors, doing yard work or just soaking in the sun.
Outdoors. Who goes outdoors anymore?
Remember the last time you were outdoors? With Matt on Sunday. That's Thomas.
Gail Eagle. I don't know how to pronounce names. I'm terrible. Sorry, but people. Denise Grace said the boys wanted me to say hi and tell you all we miss you.
James
Oh,
George.
thank you. We miss you guys too. Two of our best servers.
Jeannie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Finally.
And Mary, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You were muted. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything.
If I come up with any words of wisdom, I'm happy to share them, but
Tracy Donahue said, please tell Father John. Elizabeth Donahue says hello.
Oh, say hello to Lizzie for me. So many people we love to see.
Oops, sorry. I'm gonna mute myself here. Sorry.
That's okay. We invite everyone.
I am happy to see that all of you are not ill. And in Massachusetts, I'm in upstate New York. In Massachusetts, that's probably quite an answer to prayer from your parish. So that's wonderful.
Right.
Stay.
Well, we're also doing what the governor asked us to do. You know, we're very careful. I have to sometimes remind people if they're watching us because we don't have masks on, but like we're a family. So because we're with each other, you know, we don't do that, as I'm sure you are at home. But when we go out, we're very careful. This morning, we have a men's group that meets on Saturday mornings, and we haven't met for a couple of months. So we had our first meeting this morning. And so we were all sitting around the room in different places. And part of the group was meeting on Zoom. So they're doing just to keep in touch.
The email should give you a link. Blue writing.
Is that Eloise?
I know.
Hello.
Yeah, just
Hi.
Long time.
I had trouble getting in. It was too confusing for this old mind.
I know.
I know.
You did it though.
I
I
got
know.
here.
It's hard.
30 Eloise.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. I can't unmute Mary. I don't know. So let's see. A couple of people said hello. John Armstrong noted that he was baptized in 1957 on March 24th at St. John the Baptist.
Oh, how about that, huh? Excellent. Have to check that out. That's good news. Great. So are more people checking in, Laurie?
There's no, not at the moment. Let's see. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Did you get in?
Oh yeah.
There's about 19 people watching.
19, very good. All right.
Good crowd.
Anne Marie Stanley asked if you could say a prayer for her because her fridge just died.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh.
That would be a disaster in our house.
Yes, most houses.
We have to have two fridges. We have two fridges in order to keep all of the food that we need. We're eating well. I mean, does anyone look undernourished here?
No, you were all smiling.
Oh,
Anne Marie would like to know how your dinner was the other night.
great. Every night. Thank you so much, all of you. I know several of you out there. We've eaten so well, really. We're probably going to need to go on a diet or something. We're doing well. So
Just go on the army workout plan.
we have a workout. So, just so you know, you're looking at some very, very fit people.
Well, I got myself one of those super fit boards that you stand and twist. So
Oh,
when I'm watching
geez.
TV, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, Eloise, be careful.
Well, I used to twist a chubby checker, so now I'm doing it on the board.
Used to is the operational word there.
So we started something this week called Unbelievable, and I'm going to ask Deacon Dennis maybe to tell you a little bit about it. Some of you may have participated, some of you may want to, and it sounds really exciting. So
Yeah, so basically, long story made bearable. Father Kevin and I were inspired to just create this show. We're looking at other ways to connect with people, especially our parish community during this time, because sometimes the only time people may hear from us is our mass or this virtual coffee hour. But we wanted some other way in which we can connect with our parish family. And so Father Kevin and I just wanted to go on camera and just be able to present ourselves, talk about things that were on our mind, and just different things that we can use to hopefully bring a smile to people's faces and bring some hope during this time. So we filmed the first 2 episodes this week. The first one just kind of why we're doing this, and the one that went up last night that we shared the link this morning is just talking about saints and how we're called to live lives of holiness, and using the example of 2 upcoming saints that we feel very attached to. It's the link is on my Facebook page. It's also, I just shared the link to episode 2 on the St. John St. Thomas page. So please, check it out. It's on YouTube. So when you're there, feel free to like the video, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more we can obviously share stuff like this.
And the closer we get to Dennis shaving his head.
Yes.
how many?
2,000.
2,000. Okay.
Yeah.
We're up to 12.
The other thing new this week was Chosen. Would you want to tell us a little bit about?
Is Dawn Zoom chat right now?
Are you there, Don?
Dawn is not able to join us this morning.
Okay.
But I can share the people will. Sorry, go ahead. You speak first.
Go ahead, Lori.
No, I was just going to say that if people are interested in joining the group, they actually need to search the group on Facebook. I can't actually share the page because it's a private group. You have to ask to join. So it's called Chosen Chat with the Scriptures. And you can search that on Facebook.
Yeah, so it's a great series, just about just the biblical world during the time of Jesus. Eloise, what are your thoughts on the series and the chat the group that we're doing?
I absolutely loved it because I love the series, The Chosen. I've just fallen in love with it. And I love the sharing. I feel like we even went deeper into what the show is about and how we saw all of them as such human beings. That's what I love so much about it.
It's interesting. I think all of us have seen Bible films. I mean, I can remember from my childhood, Cecil B. DeMille's The 10 Commandments and all of that. Classics, right? But, it's really hard to make a Bible film because, we don't know all of the details. And obviously the filmmaker, the director and producer, have their view of what it should look like. So I always find it interesting to talk to people about, their favorite Bible film or what sometimes bothers them about Bible films, because I think we have an idea in our mind of what these characters should look like. And some of you who are as old as I am, remember there used to be Bible films where Jesus was never seen because they could, imitate him. So in place like The Road, that story.
Yeah.
It's always like, you see him from behind or something.
Right.
My impression, because I have not yet seen an episode, I've just seen the trailer of Chosen, is that they're working very hard to try to make it realistic. They're using their understanding of the scriptures. However, I think, anytime you watch a Bible film, you have to remember this is an interpretation. Just as almost like when we preach, we try to represent to you the gospel in ways that we can relate to. I might talk about how I envision Jesus. But we were talking this week about St. Ignatius of Loyola and the Ignatian spirituality and his approach to help people to get more out of the Bible is to imagine yourself in that situation. And today, one of the great gifts, I think, of technology, especially filmmaking, is that it can help us to enter into that world. And many of you have probably never been to the Holy Land, but every time we talk about it, it's like it was so exciting to be there. Now, we can't say exactly where Jesus would have been, with stones or those, but just the fact that you're in an environment and you look around you and you see olive trees and you see sheep and things like that. So I would encourage you. I'm looking forward to watching it. Any things that we should be watching for? I understand they bring some interesting characters together. I mean, like Nicodemus and Mary.
Yeah, so it's so the one thing that I didn't realize going into it that I'm picking up more on is they're planning this to be a long running series. So it's spanning multiple seasons, multiple episodes, just to present the biblical world, not just like a pinpoint. Let's look at this one specific scene, but let's explore it over the course of a number of episodes. So they're exploring more. It's more character driven and thematically driven than necessarily, like we're gonna paint this passage of scripture, although it is worked in.
Now, to view it, I understand you have to get the app, and then you can watch it. Can you then watch the episode you want?
Well, the ones that have been released, yes.
Okay.
They're also available, the episodes on YouTube. And I don't think you need to have the app for that.
So that makes it convenient too. So that if you want to watch it, if we want to watch it here, if we can get 5 minutes away from watching Blue Bloods, maybe we could watch.
It's not gonna happen. Right, Eloise?
Okay, so let's see, Marsha Silvano just wanted to say hello and that she missed everyone.
Hi, Marcia.
And Thomas Maloney said that you are all amazing with all you have been doing with the current crisis. And how do you see the reopening of the church?
Yeah, that's a question people ask all the time. The guys were asking this morning at our men's group. We're obviously very concerned about doing it right. And some dioceses, I think this is known around the country, bringing people back to mass. They put in place a number of precautions, wearing masks, keeping distances. So we're trying to figure out how to do that in Boston. I think the Archdiocese, Cardinal Sean, is in touch with the governor's office. And I think we also may realize that even as a state, the state is not the same. If you look at the numbers and you look at the different counties, so it's like Middlesex, Suffolk, and then Essex counties, really heavy, epidemic of the virus. Other places not. So I think one of the things we have to be thoughtful and careful about is, so I say, well, how come they're doing it and we're not? Clearly, we all want to get back to mass, but when we do it, it's going to involve quite a few precautions that we're going to have to take. One of them is disinfecting. Our two churches, St. John's is huge, St. Thomas. How do you even disinfect a church? And that's supposed to be done every time you bring people in. So there are some really significant challenges to it.
Yeah.
But needless to say, we want to do it, when we can. Another challenge is we can only take so many people. Plans I've heard of talk about using only a percentage of the size of your church, like 25% of capacity. So let's say at St. John's, which is 700, okay, so maybe 200 people at the most. But a lot of it has to do with how people are spread around, things like that.
Right.
One of the things we're doing, we're actually looking to prepare the churches for that, is we're taking out all of the hymnals and all of the other printed work. So here's something just to prepare you for what happens when you come to our church. And you said, like, where are all the hymnals? Where are the cards? Well, those have to go out because you can't have something that you're going to use and somebody else will use. What we are going to do, we're going to have all of the hymnals available at the door And by the way, you'll probably come into church through like the one main door. We'll have to kind of regulate that. But you can take a hymnal and then you keep it. You use it and you bring it home with you. We have a lot of those hymnals. That way too, you could follow along if you.
That's an excellent idea.
Uh,
Maybe you have
Where,
to sell tickets.
John Stevie, we have, in St. we have the screen, St. Thomas, we have the screens, the computer, and we've been using those to project the words. So even if you only have a hymnal, you could see the words of the readings of the day. So there are a lot of kind of things that we have to look at. So just kind of keep that in mind. As soon as we can, there we will. But it's not.
Yep.
As,
Maybe you'll have to sell tickets, Father John.
hey, well,
First come, first serve.
who's going to go there? And then they were saying, like, if you had a wedding and you could only have like 50 people, then the bride and groom have to really literally give out tickets, I suppose, and said, you can come, you can. So
Wow.
it's an awkward kind of situation that we're still trying to work out. But I think the better, the more knowledgeable you are, just, you and pass the word on. So like people understand, otherwise people get upset because they just think it's well, why don't we just open the doors of the church? It's, not that simple.
Did you say that Father, that Cardinal O'Malley was meeting with the governor?
Well, the people, there's a task force in the archdiocese,
Yeah,
and those people would be talking with the people in the governor's office. I mean,
yeah.
it might not be the governor to the cardinal, but they're trying to channel all of this information.
Mhm.
Obviously, other churches are interested. All the churches want to be open, but what we're trying to do is make sure that what we do is consistent with what the government is asking us to do.
I think the task force idea was a fantastic thing for him to get like people in to discuss their ideas of how to do these things, businesses and churches and whatever, because everybody has different ideas. So I think it's a great idea.
I've been on some of these webinars, so the diocese has really been doing a lot to try to keep us informed. And when I say us, not just the clergy, but directors of religious education, pastoral associates. So we've been doing these webinars, and I've been impressed with people. One is this woman, MC Sullivan, who's very knowledgeable. She herself, her background is a medical background, and she's the medical ethicist, I think, for the archdiocese. So when you listen to these people, you realize people are experts. I mean, I think it's encouraging to me when I watch, the national news, with President Trump, people like Anthony Fauci and others. I mean, this kind of thing is something that no one person has all the knowledge. And, if you're a priest or if you're the archbishop, the cardinal archbishop, you need to rely on that knowledge that other people have. And I think that's just kind of an encouragement for all of us, to be informed and to be well informed about what's going on, because, we all feel constrained. And we were talking about the day, everyone would like to be out at the beach, but, that's not necessarily going to be healthy and helpful to us. So I think we understand about it, the better we are. Any other questions out there or any observations, things, how are you doing?
There's about 27 people watching now on live stream.
Oh.
And I just wanted to clarify for some people that were interested in Zoom that we've been providing a registration link to join the Zoom if you would like to join. And once you register, you'll receive an email with the meeting ID and password. But you can always join us on the live stream
Great.
without registering.
Terrific. Excellent.
Well, this is Mary Kuzawa again talking, and I just want to say how much I appreciate your video of the Mass every morning.
Mm.
And I just wonder if people are going to get used to that, if this is the new reality, or if people will actually get out of their pajamas and fast for the hour and go to chapel. Instead
I,
of just tuning in.
Sorry about the two, yeah.
yeah, you know, if you make it too, they're gonna want to do that. So, I'll share with you something. We kid each other about this. So earlier this week, we announced a new principal. I don't know if you all have heard, but we have a new principal at St. John's School, Val Shippen. Val's been a teacher at the school for really good teacher. Her mom was Carol Isles, who was a teacher for 40 years. She's been a director of religious education, very dynamic person, so great person. But anyways, we had figured out that Tuesday morning, we were going to announce this to the teacher. So, and of course, I had to make the announcement. But I was away. I was actually up in Maine, having a little day off. And so I got my clergy shirt on and everything like that. So, from here up, it looked like, Father John, looking very proper. But, I mean, I was wearing clothes, but,
I hope so.
it was decent. But you do get used to this kind of hi, how are you? Although I have to tell you, and now, we can't see all of you out there, but remember that you are on, if you're on camera, people are seeing everything. So I've been on these Zoom meetings and all kinds of things going on behind people.
Yeah.
Like everything is happening. You have to have a sense of humor about this whole thing. But to your point, I do think that we need to remind people that when it's possible to come back to church, it's really important that we do that. You don't just take the easy way out. I mean, I know it's comfortable. It's nice sitting in your pajamas with your coffee, watching mass or something. But we really want, we want to come back to being a community, and that means getting up in the morning. Although I do think, kind of following along what Deacon Dennis was saying, I do think this is a moment when we're learning about how to use media, so that even when we're back to something, the new normal, I think we may realize that we need to use the media more than we do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's impossible for people to go to a meeting, but they could go to a Zoom meeting. And so we could do a lot more faith formation that way. We can help people to keep in touch that way. And again, I think especially of the homebound,
Yes.
some of the people at this time are learning how to use these media that we have.
Yeah.
Like Laurie for helping us to set it up, because we're all learning how to do this. We're all kind of figuring it out. And there are always little glitches and things like that. So, and I appreciate all of you tuning in, realizing sometimes it takes a while to get in or whatever it is. So we're kind of working on those things. But I do think it's opening up for us a new world that we need to be a part of, which is using the media, but not to exclude, the person-to-person contact, which honestly, when I think of all the people out there that I know, we want to see each other. We don't want to just, see an image on the screen. So I know we look forward to that day. It's just that it's going to take us time to get there.
We appreciate all you're doing. We really appreciate that morning mass and the folks that are doing the rosary during the week, and it really helps us to stay connected. It's wonderful.
Great.
The rosary, for instance, Sister Ruth asked me if I would do a rosary with the kids in the school. So when,
Ah,
of course,
nice.
I give the teachers great credits because I know what it's like to try to conduct a meeting with a few people this way, on the internet. Imagine if you're like a first or second grade teacher and those little kids are out there in their homes and their living rooms. I mean, it's incredible what they're doing. But again, we're going to be a part of that. By the way, next Thursday is Ascension Thursday. So pass the word. That's a holy day, and hoping as many people as possible can join us for Mass on the holy day.
Mhm.
Is it at the same time at 9:30?
Yes, it will be at 9:30.
Right.
Is there a separate Brazilian mass for that too? Or no? Put you on the spot, sorry.
No, that's a very good question. I mean, typically there would be because it's usually a holy day of obligation. Probably.
All right. This is why we need to listen. You know, we don't sometimes think of those things, and that's an excellent,
Yeah.
idea. So
Very, yeah.
Just a couple of questions, comments. Beatrice was wondering where the mass was going to be tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be at St. John's.
right. So we're alternating now, back and forth. So one weekend it would be the English mass usually at St. Thomas last weekend, St. John's this weekend. So we'd like to alternate back and forth. I remember when we first had it in the main churches, both at St. Thomas and St. John's for the Trinity. That really meant a lot to you, and it actually it means a lot to us. I mean, we've created a little chapel here, but a room and a house. It's not at all as beautiful as our churches are. So I think being able, for us even as priests, to be able to celebrate Mass in our beautiful churches has meant a lot, and I know it means a lot. So we'll be alternating that. The Brazilian Mass will always be at St. Thomas because that's where the community gathers there.
And Bobby Burke posted some information on the rosary on Saturday nights at 7.
Okay.
And Brenda Kay said that there's a rosary on Wednesdays at 6:30. But how do people join that if they would like to? Brenda, if you could answer that.
I could tell you that
Okay.
we need to have the people's email address. If they could send that to Diane Kahn and she sends out the link for us to
So
get on the rosary Wednesday.
How do they get to Diane?
I'll have to send that. I don't have it right in hand
Okay.
right now. I'll have to send it to maybe Father Kevin or Deacon Dan or Deacon Dennis, and they can give it out.
Okay. We can post that on the Facebook page if that's something that they want to do.
Uh-huh.
Denise Grace asked if they're still doing construction at the church.
Oh, yes, right. So let me give you a little update on that, because this week we recently had a meeting of several of the folks who are involved, electricians, our general contractor, who's John Stevie, our parishioner, and also people from the marble company. So the work is progressing up there. John has just installed a new screen, and they'll be putting the new lighting into the sanctuary. And then we're looking at completing the work really as soon as we can. Also, the fellow, his name is Mark, from Lloyd's Woodworking in Hudson. These are people who do the wood furnishings in a church. And a lot of people have learned a new word in your vocabulary when we started talking about a reredos. The reredos is that wall behind an altar. It used to be that the altar was built into the wall. In our the renovation of the church, it'll be behind the altar, so the altar will be freestanding. And that was kind of exciting because we were looking at the drawings that they have. They've begun the construction of that. And that's coming along really well. So we're hoping, he's thinking maybe in about 8 weeks that might be done. That's going to have the tabernacle in the center of it. It's going to have a niche on the right-hand side where we keep the gospel book. You know how at St. John's we used to bring the gospel book onto the altar? Yeah. It'll have a place there. And on the other side will be the oils, the holy oils of the baptism, because that will be the baptism side, of course, is where John the Baptist and Jesus, and then the font will come forward. So those are moving along really well. I mean, there have been a few delays in some of the marble work, but it's really looking good. And we're hoping that when we're able to open the doors we'll open the upper church. So we're actually gotten back to doing some more cleaning. A lot of people, if you remember, we had a very thorough cleaning before, but now we can do some more cleaning of it. We hope to have it ready so that when we open the door, you'll be able to see it. It's just really beautiful what they've done.
So let's see. A lot of people are writing in now. Paulina, thanks for coffee time. I can't wait to be in church with the whole community again. I miss being in church a lot. God bless everyone. Richard asked if you had considered when you do open church, if you do every other row and then people can still sit with their families that way.
Yeah, that's a good, thank you, Richard. What we're envisioning is maybe marking off places in the church, because they've talked about, every other pew, but sometimes the pews are a little closer together. But it raises a good problem. So like if a family of 6 comes in,
Right.
number 1 person is where they should be, but number 6 is almost next to the next where the person would have been. So that's where we're trying to figure out how sure that we maintain that distancing, because it's going to depend on the number of people that there are in any given place.
Right.
Yeah, that's a bit of a challenge.
Lisa Bento asked if the Friday lunch program was accepting donations of packaged food, and if so, where could it be dropped off?
Right, they are. Yeah, Pat Adam and her volunteers have been wonderfully preparing box lunches. As you know, they can't serve food on a table, but they prepared these box lunches. People come, but they are in need of of some donations of food. So anything that you have that's not perishable, like snacks, things like that, or fruit, if you can, if you could probably bring to the church hall. I'm just trying to think of the church in the hall, and the chapel are open on mornings. So Friday morning probably would be a good time to bring it by.
Call Pat.
Carol Corsati said that she's anxious for the second graders to be able to make their first communion.
Oh, we all are. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Again, what we're going to have to look at is if we open the church and we have a certain number of people we can accommodate, what we will do is contact all of the families and have them sign up for a mass. And as you know, we have been doing that at parish masses. And the reason for that is that a child's first communion is not only a big event for their family, it's a big event for the whole parish family. And that's really gone over well. A lot of people have said how much they enjoy children and their parents. However, that we go into overload for that. So what we probably will need to do, this is just an idea that Father Kevin and I will talk about, is maybe having some first communion masses, maybe like on a Saturday morning, which would just be dedicated to the communicants and their parents, just by the limitations of space. And then we'll try to find out, how to accommodate people over a period of weeks in both of our churches, because the children are really anxious to do that. They've been disappointed not to be able to make their first communion when they thought they could. We really want that to happen. Another, of course, is confirmation. We have our confirmation candidates, and we have to wait for word from the bishops, because they're still the people who will be doing those. They have to revise their schedule. We have to come up with a plan for that. And so all of those things, they're coming, and we're aware of that. We were talking about, we have 3 people in 2 parish communities who are willing to become Catholic. One of them is baptized. He's our candidate, John Newton, and he's been so looking forward to receiving the sacraments and communion for the first time, and 2 women who will be baptized. So we really want to have them celebrate their sacraments as soon as we can. So pray that we can, find a way to do that, because these are people who are very, very eager and anxious to receive those sacraments.
Beatrice was asking if the daily mass was still going to be at the rectory every day, or you're going to move from there at all?
For now, Monday through Saturday, we'll still be here at St. John's in the Rectory, St. Corona House. And then as we reopen, whenever that is, we'll phase in the daily mass back into church, but we don't have plans for that yet.
Sorry.
Question as we do things. So we have more people at our daily mass than we've ever had before because you're all out there and you could do it. But it does raise a question about, we have mass at 6:45 at St. John's. We have it at 8:30. But maybe we're going to need to look at that and say, well, would another time, sometimes during the week, be more convenient? So the question I'll put back to all of you. Let us know, like when things go back to sort of normal, would you want to have access for daily mass? So we might want to change the times. Some parishes have, instead of having a morning mass, sometimes have an late afternoon mass. People could come, from work to go to it, or maybe we could record it. We could live stream it at the time we do it, and then you can see it later on. So I think this experience is raising that question about how do we make something like daily mass more available to people who might not be able to come to mass, but like you all, you're out there and you're watching it and following it. So I think it's something we want to look at.
Kathleen Burke asked, when you open, are you going to use the kids for altar servers or just the deacons?
Good question. I tend to we may really, because there are so many precautions. I mean, we were talking about even just communion and how we do that. So so the whole way that we go about saying mass, serving mass is going to be so regulated that it may not be possible for our altar servers, the young people, to do that. I mean, again, eventually, sure, we want them to be on the altar. We want our lay people to be. But I mean, when you think about the complications, and obviously it's their safety first of all, but just being able to know how to do things. So we certainly want that to happen. But I think what I'm picking up is that they're limiting the people who are around in the sanctuary, maybe just to the clergy, to the deacons. I mean, we're fortunate to have these guys who are around us, who can do that and are familiar with it. So, but we miss them. We really do.
This is a good one. Richard asked, how much preparation time do each of you take for your homilies each day? You all seem to be well prepared and deliver a message to help and guide us. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Well, you've given us so, Father Kevin and I can tell you what it's like to celebrate Mass at 6:45. And any of you out there who are 6:45 are right. Because I'll just speak for myself. I'm not really a morning person. So I tell people at the 6:45 Mass, the church centuries ago, there was a controversy that erupted about priests celebrating the sacraments. And some of these priests may not be like good people, but the church always said that the Holy Spirit makes up for the inadequacies of the priest. So that happens every morning that I'm at the 6:45. So let me tell you, it's been great to have morning. So we have morning prayer at 8 o'clock. We have breakfast. We have like a holy hour. So I have a lot of time to prepare my homily. So you might be surprised if you heard my 6:45 homily. It may not be quite as good as 9:30. We enjoy it. Honestly, for me as a priest, I'd rather be more there than sometimes I am. But that's something we do because we're there to serve the people, and at 6:45, that we can do it. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Christine Capillo just wrote in that she really enjoys the coffee hour because she can let her friends who do not have access to this tell them what is going on in our parish.
Oh, excellent. Very good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an interesting sort of thing. Again, it's one of these things you say, well, okay, when we go back to normal, what could we do like this to maybe provide opportunities for, this kind of ongoing conversation? I think that's one of the questions we're going to ask is, what have we learned about the desire that people have, like you have, to just sit and chat, ask questions. In fact, it's funny because when we talk about the virtual coffee hour, all of us have been to coffee hours, so everyone's sitting at their own table. So this is like one big, huge table, and we're all having a part of it. So it's really a different kind of coffee hour than we would have either at St. John's or St. Thomas. We're just
Roger Grace asked if Father Paul was okay. Hasn't seen him.
okay, right. Father Paul is he's fine. So as you can see, he's at the North Shore Medical Center at Salem Hospital. For that reason, he kind of quarantines himself when he's in meals. So that's why he's not even with us at meals. Very concerned that because he's in the hospital, if he were infected, he does not want us in any way, obviously threatened by that. So he is fine. If you see him and wave, and when we get meals, like last night there was a little container for Father Paul. So all of our cooks have been very thoughtful, and we put something aside. So he's doing very well. But I do ask him to ask you to keep him in your prayers, and all of our priests. You probably heard how the cardinal has designated certain priests to be able to administer the sacraments to COVID patients. So we have some of our priests, in fact, Father Timothy Hines, you remember Tim was our deacon here. He's over in Lincoln, living in a rectory there so that he can be available to anoint COVID-19 patients. So we're really being very, very careful about that. And as I say, Father Paul is very, very concerned about our well-being as we are his. But thank you for asking. I'll pass that on because I know he would appreciate your prayers and your support.
Father, could I just say that I could give my email address and people could email me and I'd get them on the list for the Woman's Rosary on Wednesdays, if you'd like. Is that
Someone-
okay?
Sure. Someone also provided it on the live stream, and
Okay.
I'm going to-
Brenda, probably.
Yes, Brenda.
Right. Okay, Brenda will, because she'll have that link.
Okay,
That's
yep.
fine.
Speaking of, Father John, I'm going to return to something he said. We have been very well taken care of. As you can see, I need to join Seminary and Joe's workout program. But I just got a text that more people want to take care of us. One of the Brazilians just showed up with something for us, so I'm going to go excuse myself and collect that. So it was great being with you all, and see you tomorrow.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So I
Bye,
think-
Father Kev.
Okay, so I think we'll kind of wrap it up now. We got some things to do, but let's keep this going. Pass the word on. Tell your friends about it. Laurie, again, thank you for making it happen. Really, we did learn that there are some things that we need to do to be safe and secure. Unfortunately, the internet world, there are people out there who like to sneak in and do things, and so we don't want to complicate it for you, but we do need to go through those proper sort of precautions and things like that. So Laurie, again, thank you all. You can continue to be in touch with us, in other media. So if you have questions, concerns, but we look forward to being with you next week. So again, tomorrow, 10 o'clock rather, we'll be live streaming Mass from St. John's at 11:30 for the Brazilian community. And again, pass the word next Thursday at our usual time, 9:30. Ascension Thursday will be our Holy Day Mass. Again, somebody pointed out, and I think you all know this, the obligation to attend Mass on Sundays and Holy Days is suspended. So it's not that you have to, but I know many people want to, and obviously it's an important feast day in the life of the church. So as many of you as can join us, we would love to see you. So thank you all. Keep safe. Keep us, we'll keep you in our prayers. Also, prayer intentions, when you have those, we get those once in a while. We keep those in mind. We're offering them for you. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, and God bless.
Thank
God
you.
bless you all.
Bye, thank you, thank you. God bless.